At Residential Tech Today, we are extremely grateful for our partners and supporters that allow us to do the things that we do and support the publication so that we can bring you amazing content like we do on a regular basis. This episode of the Residential Tech Talks podcast, recorded at CEDIA Expo, was made possible thanks to a collection of partners, including the 8K Association, Elite Screens, Hisense, and Oasis Residential Technology Group.
Residential Tech Talks, lighting specialist, residential
house.
All right, we are back on the Residential Tech Talks podcast, and I think we color matched the background to your pants, Mr. Josh Willits.
Just about, but these are special Pantone matched to our logo.
I was going to say, you guys have you have a very specific code that you got, hex code.
Years ago we found orange pants just online that we bought, and then as the team grew and we got people of all shapes and sizes, and we couldn't do that anymore. So we actually work with a dye shop in Philly.
That's awesome.
And we buy. I don't know. This is like a trade secret. I'm not sure I should say this, but we get white jeans and
dye them.
Dye them.
That's incredible.
Custom dyed to our Pantone color.
That is awesome. I love it. I mean, it's a statement at every show that you guys are at, and it's a talking point for sure.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So we can't not do it now. It's been like 11, 12 years of orange pants. So.
I'm just waiting for like the orange Canadian tuxedo to complete the look.
Oh, yeah, okay, with the ruffle.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Is that going to be a thing?
We'll see.
That's awesome. Well, how are things?
Good,
as we sit here at CEDIA Expo.
This is our big show.
Yeah.
So
this
is like the Super Bowl for us.
It is. So what's you guys got a great space over there. What's going on? What's the new kind of thing for you at the show?
So there's a couple things that we did this year that we're really talking about a lot at the show. A couple of the sort of, I'd say, like smaller things versus the bigger things are we re-engineered our iOS app. So now it matches the full functionality of our web app.
Yep.
They're always in sync. New features on the web app show up in the iOS app, so that's great. We're beta testing native Zoho integration.
Okay.
So for dealers who want deeper workflow solutions for software across their business, can use a platform like Zoho, which is infinitely customizable, and then layer Portal on top of it in a really seamless way to make it work for this industry and their business.
Yeah.
So we're working with a couple dozen dealers that are already in Zoho, and getting that integration done. Dealers are pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
And then piggybacking on last year's AI proposal builder, we have some improvements to that. The biggest one is when we originally launched the AI proposal builder, dealer can basically speak or type in the spec, and then it'll build the proposal for them. When we built the proposals, though, we used what we call placeholders, which is, this is a spot for a TV, this is a spot for a mount, this is a spot for speakers, and now we're actually pulling real data from the catalog to actually build the proposal.
That's awesome.
Which was a big next step for us. It required a lot of work to get there, but we're showing that at this show. Dealers are pretty excited.
Yeah.
Removing that extra step of replacing items.
Right.
From with items from the catalog. And then the big thing at this show is our invoice functionality.
Right.
So we launched full-blown invoicing functionality. We've been doing payments and payment requests inside of Portal.
Yep.
Because that was the sort of the first domino, the first solution or the first point of friction for dealers when we looked at the proposal process. So when they would get a proposal accepted, most dealers then, they get a customer digitally signs and accepts, they get a notification on their phone, they're excited to get the job started. And then most dealers then the next day, or it would take a couple days, they'd have to put it into QuickBooks or their accounting system. Then they'd have to generate the invoice, and then they'd have to send the invoice out to the customer and wait for the customer to pay. So you lose a couple days on that. You've got to get their attention again. And we realized that payment request should be part of the proposal acceptance. I mean, that's when you've got their attention. That's when they're motivated to pay and get the project started.
I was going to say, not even just the days of having to do the man hours, of having to do
plus
those
all
things.
The extra work. Yeah, exactly right. So we said, hey, if we can attach that, build that into that process of acceptance for dealers, and there's some things that you have to do in order to make that work, like if the customer has options on the proposal,
right.
you might not, if you're taking a 50% of the project total up front, you don't know what that is until they accept the proposal.
Right.
So some of that you had to wait until that process was done in order to do it on the back end.
Right.
So when we built in, auto calculating that amount, when they choose the options and accept the proposal, now we know what they owe instantly, and then we can connect into the dealer's payment processor and run the payment through.
That's awesome. It's crazy to think. When did Portal launch?
2013 was our first exhibiting CEDIA.
Okay. Now, so talk about 12 years, like the growth that it's gone through. Just talk about that a little bit, because it's been impressive.
I mean, we've definitely come a long way.
Yeah.
We explored a couple different models that didn't end up panning out when we launched. And ironically, what we launched with is still the foundation of our business today.
Right.
It's just how we ended up monetizing, and our value to dealers really came alive once we sat back and looked at, what do dealers love about Portal, and it was really the proposal and the sales system.
Right.
But when we started, the first thing we wanted to do was aggregate all the industry's product data into one web catalog for dealers. Because every dealer had to manage this data from their different suppliers and their different vendors, including dealer pricing. We said, okay, if we build this catalog, like every dealer needs it.
Yeah.
And then what can we build on top of it that just makes things easier?
Right.
And we started with the orders, and then within a year or two, I think in 2014, we launched the proposal tool.
Yep.
Really simple proposal tool, but dealers really loved some of the features that we built in the proposal tool. We sort of went on a monetization journey on the ordering side.
Right.
And that didn't end up panning out. And then we shifted in 2019 over to, we had them both, we were still building and developing on proposals, and that just became bigger and bigger and bigger and more popular.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, we said, all right, we've got to shift over and really focus in on proposals, lean in on the sales aspect, which is still built on that foundation of catalog data.
Yep.
And since then, 2019, year over year, month over month growth pretty much of just adding new dealers.
Well, I think the story and the journey is indicative of the industry though, man. And that's what's cool about it, is because it's there's testing and learn, grow it. That's every integrator has to explore and see what, think about, this isn't a 2-channel, channel anymore, for lack of a better word, but they look at lighting, they look at shit, they're looking at different areas where what's going to work, what's not, and you play in it and you figure it out, and you find what you're great at and you go attack it.
Yeah, the key for us is we're sort of relentlessly focused on not only the customer experience inside the app, but also just understanding the frustrations and the friction points that dealers have.
Right.
We're very customer oriented.
Yeah.
And so we're, even Kirk, our CEO, is on calls with dealers every week to understand where can we improve, what can we do better.
Now, I was going to say that too, the feedback loop, right? Because you're not doing this in sort of a vacuum. You have a lot of feedback coming from the community and those that engage with you. So it's a testament to that aspect as well, of being able to talk to the integrators out there and hear their feedback, and not just hear it, but to react to it and act on it. Yeah,
what's funny is early on, we developed this reputation of dealers would give us feedback and then they'd see it in a week or two.
Yeah.
And then when you develop that reputation, it's tough as you grow, because you can't deliver on that consistently as you grow over time. But there's still a sense that the features we do develop when we release them, they're right for dealers. They're what they expect. It's how it should work for their business. And I think that's where, over time, you still keep that feeling of, they understand my business, they understand what I need.
Absolutely. And with the direction you guys have gone, I'm sure my data journalistic mind gets excited talking to you, because you guys must have a ton of stuff that you can look at and be able to spot industry trends ahead of time and guide sort of the dealers that interact with you and where things are heading.
Yeah, we started, we really sort of pioneered that for the industry. It exists in a lot of other verticals that are pretty close to us. But for us, the understanding what's happening in the market, and it's in particular the CI segment, was pretty frustrating for vendors that are used to, they have analysts and they're analyzing data and sales data from other verticals like consumer electronics, and this was a big blind spot for them.
Yeah.
And it's really evident when you have big issues like supply chain challenges, like through the pandemic, where they don't know what things look like. Are dealers actually selling stuff right now?
Yeah.
Are they not building proposals? Like, do we need to change the supply chain? They're managing cash conversion cycles and how much inventory they have, and that ties up cash, so they can't reinvest it. And so we realized there was an opportunity to, in aggregate, help them understand, what's that market look like? Like, how am I doing compared to last year in the market? Vendors might see that they've got lift, year over year, month over month, but maybe their competitors have a greater lift, right? And they're actually losing market share. And there was just nothing for vendors in our channel that answered those questions. And so for us, it was really about, again, being customer focused and understanding their challenges and aggregating that data so that dealer privacy was important to us. So hey, how can we leverage this? Because ultimately, manufacturers making better decisions based on data is good for the channel and it's good for dealers.
There's so many just areas that benefit from this, and it's awesome. It's kind of like crazy too to throw on my hat from a few months ago, less than a year ago, and thinking that Nationwide, similar efforts were kind of underway for the retail
Nationwide
channel,
did
man.
That. Yep,
that's
right.
So everything you're talking about with the aggregate data and being able to eliminate those blind spots, it is so impactful, and we saw it. I say we, I'm throwing on the Nationwide hat here for a minute, but watching independent retailers that leverage those tools, like the benefits it had to them. So to have and see something like this on the CI side, knowing that, like it can't be understated how awesome it is and how important it is.
Yeah, it's critically important, and it improves the industry as a whole.
To sound like a shill.
Benefit, over
here shilling Portal, but it's okay because like it's like. This is I've used it too many times this week, but the high tide, right, raising all ships, and like being able to spot those things, and like to your point of the dealers do benefit from having that and like being able to be more efficient and make better decisions, but the rest of the community as well, the manufacturers, like you said, being able to make better decisions around what product they're manufacturing based on what's set. Like there are endless amounts of just solutions because of having some numbers that, crazy enough, in just 2025, it feels like we're just finally getting to a point where they can see.
I mean, look, this industry's always been very fragmented. We're seeing that. We're seeing that consolidation starting to happen now. But those were questions that just couldn't be answered before.
I think, and this isn't maybe, I don't know if you have an answer to it, but more of a talking point. Like the dealers that are out there, I feel like there's a lot of maybe uneasiness, or they don't know how to use the numbers, they're scared of the number, that type of thing. Do you see that at all? Or is there any like learning curve for those that, it's always been in retail, it was always like they have a gut feeling, they want to go with their gut, they trust their gut, but there's numbers that you can look at and give you those answers.
I find that dealers are mostly, even all size dealers, are really focused on their business. So when you start to talk to dealers about industry trends, they don't really
lose them a little bit.
You lose them a little bit. They're really thinking about their business, the challenges that they have, hiring, talent, how do we keep up with the demand that we're getting. Dealers just get lost in the details, focused on the details, I should say. And you really have to find ways, if you're going to help them with data, you've got to really figure out how to bring it home for them.
It's got to have that story. Like
one of the things we do is really simple, but when you add a product to a proposal, you can see suggested attachments with it, and we don't just look at their proposal history. They can see what other dealers are attaching. So guys are finding success attaching this particular mount or this particular power product to this product. Maybe I should be selling it with it as well. So in little ways you can improve that experience for dealers so they can make good decisions for their business without really trying to get them this big picture of what's happening in the industry.
It's a challenge. It's being able to walk the fine line of not wanting to see that gloss come over their eyes as you're talking to them, but also like knowing that there's so many benefits to them being able to properly leverage, what they have in front of them. But
Yeah.
I get it. So it's that story. I think that's kind of what we're trying to do, right? Tell stories that are impactful and that they can learn from and leverage. So it's awesome, man. It's a great. I got to ask, because I've been asking everyone. It's one stated goal to come out of CEDIA. For you, if you had to pick or name what it is, what you're trying to accomplish here, what is it?
Honestly, I think it's just to understand our dealers better. When we first came to CEDIA, the first couple years, it was all about getting new customers, and it was all about signing up dealers and them discovering Portal or Supply Stream at the time, really early on. Now, most of the people that are coming by the booth already use Portal, and so it's important for us. It's a great opportunity when you're in person to really dig in with the dealer and say, here's a new feature, here's how it works, understand their workflow that they're doing now, and does this work for you?
Right.
And taking that feedback, this is like, 100 calls in 2 days, basically. So that's really important for us to understand, does this work, does this not work? What's frustrating, what do you love? And you can't get that in a format other than this.
No, and you also can't get loud thumping music while you're trying to have an awesome conversation. See, I had to ask one more question because we hadn't heard it yet. So.
But it is, it is somewhat unique to this show.
Oh, absolutely, it's a vibe,
It wouldn't be
man.
CEDIA without getting blasted out of a conversation.
Proof that we're here in Denver doing this.
Yeah, there's no smoke and mirrors here. We're on the show floor.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, this was awesome. Conversation. We could talk for hours, but I love the opportunity to get you over here. We'll have to do it maybe in Philly. Maybe we can go to like Steve's or something in Philly and do a conversation over some cheesesteaks. Is that your spot? Do you have a spot?
I don't really.
No?
I don't get into Philly as often as I'd like, but I do catch all the Eagles games.
There you go. That's we won't go there, but I love it, man. We appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time, and we'll catch up down the line.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Residential Tech Talks podcast, please subscribe to us on the platform you're listening on. Also, be sure to follow Residential Tech Today on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Residential Tech Talks, autonomous lighting specialist to residential tech.
At Residential Tech Today, we are extremely grateful for our partners and supporters that allow us to do the things that we do and support the publication so that we can bring you amazing content like we do on a regular basis. This episode of the Residential Tech Talks podcast, recorded at CEDIA Expo, was made possible thanks to a collection of partners, including the 8K Association, Elite Screens, Hisense, and Oasis Residential Technology Group.